RSI released a new ship this week, and started to announce the new ship release. It's going to be in 3.7, and it's called the RSI Mantis. And let's kind of talk about what we think that's going to do for the rest of the game. Jolly, what are your thoughts on the RSI Mantis?
Well, the question is, is it needed in the game? And actually, I think it is. Not everybody's got a key in being the piracy, and I bet piracy is going to happen in the game, but it's a key point of the game, in my opinion. I don't intend to participate in piracy, but without it, it's going to become a pretty bland game itself. So having it out there is good for the game overall. Even if you don't care for it or being snagged by it, it's still something that should be in the game.
I agree completely. And I think that it has, from our operations perspective, it definitely has a value. While we wouldn't use it to pirate people, I definitely see how you could use it defensively to keep people from being able to QDT right into the middle of your formation. And also to, if somebody comes in and attacks you, it keeps them from being able to run away real quickly, right?
Yeah, I'd agree. Part of the idea, you could use this as a trap. In other words, if you have the numbers in your favor and you're trying to prevent a hit and run, the hit's still going to occur, but the run is not. And now you have the opportunity to go ahead and counterattack.
Yeah, completely agree. Nam, what are your thoughts on the Mantis?
The main thing for me was it is more of a piracy tool, but like Jolly said, we need that. We need things we're not going to have. They have to be a full game. You have to have all the mechanics there, even the ones you're not going to make use of. And I think it's a lot more limited, I'm thinking, as far as with the ranges they're given and all that. It's going to be a lot harder to lock down an area than people think. Because add in the fact that the planets and areas are rotating, and then eventually we're going to be having orbits. It's not going to be as simple as saying I'm going to set up this trap between point A and point B. Point A and point B are going to be moving.
I agree completely. I think that if you're thinking that the Mantis is going to have a 20 to 30 kilometer dampening zone, it's going to be really easy to bypass blockades with just a single one of these. Shep, you run our capital fleet team in ADI, and so this ship probably means the most to you. What are your thoughts on the new RSI Mantis?
Well, to jump on what everybody else has said, I share the same concerns of everybody. I see good things about it. I see bad things about it. The good things about it are obviously if we are executing bounties, for example, and we have a good idea of where certain players are going to be, we can set up a trap using one or many mantises to catch the target player that we're hunting a bounty for. But you would need several. Like, it wouldn't just be one lone ship out there. You'd probably want like 3, 4, 5 to cast a net in a certain high traffic area in order to actually snag somebody. Because as you said, space is a big place. Each one of these things is only going to have a limited amount of range to it. And you're also going to need some significant backup. Like if you're going to do something like this and you pull somebody out of quantum, the way the game mechanics are right now is you are going to pull that guy out of quantum plus whoever is traveling with him. So you can't just expect to go with a single mantis, right? And pull somebody out of quantum and expect to make it out okay if you're going to pull out an entire fleet. So you got to know who you're targeting, who they plan to be running with, and then you have to plan your escort ships accordingly if you're going to do something like this. Those are some of the good things that you can do. The bad things are obviously pirates are going to be out there, in some cases just trolling people to pull them out of quantum and to interrupt them. In other cases, they're probably going to try to get something out of them. They also know that they can't do this by themselves, so they're going to have some backup with them when they pull you out of quantum. So you got to be ready for that. I wowould like to see. To get some real value out of this ship, I think we need to see a mechanic where you can actually itemize a quantum signature or detect and target a quantum signature to pull that person out of quantum. I would like to see. I think that there's going to be more value than just casting this wide net to try to pull people out.
I'm not so sure I want selectivity. In other words, if you're a pirate and you want to pull something out of a quantum drive, you got to roll the dice. That what you pull out is some freelancer by itself, not a flight of fighters. And so if they have selective, well, only pull out these targets that are easy for me to take out. That's too easy to the game. You got to have some sort of risk involved. Roll the dice, find out, hey, I got a nice juicy fell out in my lap. That's great. Or, oh crap, I better start running. That needs to be in the game too.
Sure, that makes sense, and I think you can maybe have the best of both worlds by just detecting a signature. You don't necessarily know how big the signature is or what type of ship is causing the signature. You just see a signature. Is this an Idris or is this a Hornet? I don't know.
Oh no, it's a good point. Size. What was that? Like a large signature. Now is that a whole E, or is that an Idris? You know,
Right.
at least you have an opportunity to give it. That might be some sort of compromise in there. Now I will point out that there's really two parts of this. One is the pulling them out of the quantum. In other words, and the range is what little information we've gotten so far out of CI. It's either going to be 10 to 20 clicks, somewhere around that, where I'll pull you out. But there's the dampening where I prevent you quantuming, and that they're looking at more closer to 2 clicks. So it's a matter of I can pull you out of your quantum travel, but I got to get to you now before you get the chance to re-engage quantum and get the heck out of there. And it's getting within that 2 kilometer range for actual dampening is going to be a good part of the game also, which means that rather fragile ship has got to get close to its target. And if the target's able to defend itself, good chance of taking it out.
What was that?
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Having a little bit of audio difficulty there with Shepard and with Namidius. We can't figure out why. But Jolly and I seem to be doing great. So
Am I having
we're
desync?
okay. They're saying your audio is slightly desynced, but they can't figure out why. Hey, Joni, can you go look at the Skype computer and make sure we're not at 100% CPU? Skype computer. That's not the Skype computer.
Did
That
everybody
keyboard.
miss my good information that I
They
just put out there?
They heard it. They're just saying that there's just a drastic audio delay.
I worked really hard delivering that stuff.
Minimize that and look at the CPU load. Task Manager. Yeah. Sorry, guys. We're running into some technical difficulties. What's the CPU percentage?
Let's take a look at the Discord feed.
What's pretty high?
86%.
Okay. Well, then hopefully this works better. Okay.
I'm looking at the feed here. It looks like Coal Hunter TTB says, I don't think the orbit is going to be that fast. As everyone spreads out throughout the game, it may not be that bad. And I think that was in response to something that Jolly said about planets, or maybe that was Nomedius, planets orbiting or something like that.
Yeah.
I think they're orbiting. You think he's trying to say that they're orbiting so slow that it's not going to make a difference?
Well, I don't know that that's the case, because right now rotation's enough. I mean, have you ever gone with a group of people, a group of craft, go out, they get to Yela or another planet or whatever, and then somebody else jumps out 30 seconds later? You seen how many kilometers away from you that first group is by the time you get there? Because it's
more
already
than 20.
rotating.
It's
Sure.
more than 20 kilometers. It doesn't take very much to get past that.
Less than a minute, that 20 kilometers can be cleared by the rotation.
So you're really talking about the rotation of the planetary body and not necessarily the orbit of the planet
both
itself
together.
around the sun.
Well, that's the thing. When you go into orbit around the planet, you rotate with the planet.
That's right.
You stay and it's not physics.
Yeah.
Well, who knows?
If
Maybe-
someone's sorry, go ahead.
Maybe CIG, implements some kind of a compensator for quantum physics in the game, and you select a spot on the planet that you want to quantum into, and you're just gonna like follow that curve. I don't know. I'm just kind of.
No,
I will
but that's
point
not
out
how
one
it
thing.
works. That's the
These-
thing.
These numbers we're quoting out right now are kind of based on the articles. We haven't even gotten the Q&A yet where they're actually asking these questions, and there's very vague wording in there. That 2 kilometer range for the hold seems rather short to me, especially when that's inside the range of weapons already. A lot of your weapons, and
Right.
and they also said that 10 to 20 kilometer sphere, that was it's said that was where it started. We don't know
Right.
how big it gets.
Well, I gotta think that, I mean, CIG, Chris Roberts has been, really harping on the fidelity of all this. And if he's harping on the fidelity of planetary rotation and orbits, they got to be thinking about this, or somebody somewhere has been thinking about this already, and has some way of planning for it in maybe a later release or something, or a second iteration of the interdiction mechanic.
Well, the 2,000 meters, and the precise wording is maybe somewhere around 2,000 meters, and that came from CI. Okay, so at least it's a good
2,000
source
meters
to work
isn't
with.
very big.
No, it's not very big. It's well within range of most weapons too, but I think it's intentional. But it's the difference between I'm pulling you out at 10 to 20 clicks versus you can't quantum, I'm sorry, at 2 clicks, or maybe it's 2.5, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, even at 20 clicks, you might be able to get away if you're fast enough on it. So, I mean, I'm not worried about that. Okay, we're getting reports all the audio is good now, except potentially Shepard. But anyhow, back on to what we're talking about. So the one thing I want to broach is I watched this video, and I'm going to have Joni or Jaglin switch over to it real quick, called the... and we're going to show this. This video is by a guy named SaltE, and we'll put this in the notes.
SaltE. That sounds
SaltE. We're not
so
going to actually play any snippets from his video. We're just going to show this here real quick. His complaint, and he goes into this very detailed complaint, and I wish we had audio queued up and ready to go, and that's my fault.
Wait. A guy named SaltE that's complaining.
Yes, I know.
I don't understand what's happening here.
But his frustration is that he can't have this in every one of his little fighters. He specifically says, well, I'm in a Sabre and I'm beating up on this Cutlass. Why can't I dampen his ability to QD or quantum away? And it's this is the perfect example of crazy people on the internet. And, this idea that every ship should be able to do everything. I mean, is this not just absolutely ridiculous?
It is. And I'll look at the Valk when it came out. Okay, great ship. Love it. Fly it all the time. The complaint was it can't carry one SKU, but it can carry vehicles. And I admit that didn't make sense. And RSI, they made a small change. Threw a few SKU in there you can carry on it. A reasonable, it's not a cargo ship by any stretch of the imagination, but a couple things in there. But folks I want that one ship that knew everything. And we're not going to get it. Or should we get it? Or if you want something to do everything, like go buy an Idris Plus or something bigger than that. Yeah, then you get a lot of variety going on. But if you're looking at especially if you're looking for a solo ship capable of doing all the tasks that are out there, no, that's not it. I'm glad it's a specialized ship, and only a specialized ship actually has that trait. That's a good thing for the game.
I agree completely. It's just absolutely ridiculous that you think, I mean, he is the antithesis of the kind of people we don't play with. And that is the whole purpose of this, it's a great ship. And the fact that it is a specialized ship, and hopefully they'll eventually release one or two other variants that have this capability. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it won't be RSI. Maybe they'll release a Crusader Industries ship or a Drake ship or something like that can compete to it. Now, I would agree with that sentiment. But this thought that you should be able to load, every module onto your sleek fighter and be a Swiss Army knife of death is ridiculous. I mean, it's just group play anyone. I mean, if you're going to be a pirate, you got to get some crew on your pirate process. You can't do everything via one ship. You got to spread the love around. And, it's just ridiculous what these guys are talking about and complaining about. And I think the Mantis is going to change gameplay, but I think it is. Here's my honest assessment. I think that it is much less impactful than people are making it out to be. What do you guys think?
I would say there's been nothing we've heard up to this point that says that this is in fact going to be a model exclusive feature. They've implied in the past that interdiction is something some ships could do. I would agree it'd be silly that every ship could do this, but we've seen nothing so far to say that they're not going to have this being a module, something that would be added to some ships, like say a Connie or something of a decent size. Take tractor beams. Just because the Argo SRV came out, it doesn't mean that tractor technology is restricted to certain craft or just that one. Tractor beams are going to be on some vehicles, but not all.
Sure, but you shouldn't expect that your sleek fighter that is all about cutting stuff up is going to be able to do all of these other specialized features. I mean, that's the thought, hey, why doesn't this ship have it? Or why doesn't that ship have it? His argument was this should be a module that you could put in every ship.
Yeah, see, I think every ship needs to have a fallacy. It needs to have a weakness. The exception may be the large capital ships. I get why something like that has all encompassing, but you got to have a weak point in every single ship that's out there. I just talked about the Valk, and I love the Valk, but in a space fight, it ain't that hot. That's not what I'd really want to take in there. Now, if you're talking about another ship that could use that technology on it, it's not there yet. I can see this one being developed, but a bounty hunter ship that has that device on it. That would make sense to me if they want to come up with a second one. Because as far as I know, the Mantis is not a bounty hunting ship.
Yeah, you just have to weigh things. I mean, this idea that the Sabre, which is a top line fighter, I mean, I'm sorry. I was looking through this and, most of this stuff was pretty bland. Everybody's kind of poo-pooing it, but this guy just went off the deep end and I wanted to rant about it a little bit. So, Nam, do you have anything to add about Crazy Salty?
Just only that he was saying that it should be for somehow or another he equates that it should all be able to be done solo. And there are some things in this game that some professions, or maybe certain aspects of a profession, that there just can't be done by one person.
Well, right. This is the guy that is sitting in his chair in front of his computer, imagining taking and putting AI blades in every gun turret on a hammerhead and flying it around and winning every engagement that way.
Right.
That's the kind of logic here. Go ahead, Shep, I'm sorry.
We have to take a look at a couple things. First of all, the entire game was designed as an MMO RPG. It's a massively multiplayer online RPG. Chris has said that he's going to have some single player fun elements in there, but the purpose of this game is to get on with your friends, coordinate, plan, and have a good group experience, not just, having a ship that has everything on it and you just mash the easy button and you could do all things by mashing the easy button. I think people who think that we should be able to do that should probably ask themselves, are you really having fun just mashing an easy button by yourself all day in a game? I mean, I think most people think about it, they'll decide that they're not having as much fun as they could be.
Yeah, but griefers, this is the kind of griefer mentality, in my opinion. I want to be able to interdict ships and keep them from running away so I can kill them.
Right.
And do it all by myself. This would be, if this guy showed up to do an onboarding at ADI, that would be this gigantic red flag that we'd say, thanks, no thanks, you're not a good fit.
So, I would say that there's a little bit of functionality there for single operators. It's called EMP. It's not as effective as this, but nor would I expect something on the smaller scale to be as effective. But it takes a little skill, and they could use it to keep somebody from running away.
They could, but EMP affects you just as much as it affects them. If you're not playing with the group and coordinating, what good does it do you?
True enough.
By the time your systems recover, theirs are almost recovered and out of there.
And that brings up another good point. I mean, can you imagine having an EMP style Avenger? I'm not sure. I think it's called the what's the name of that ship again? The Warlock. Yeah. Can you imagine having like a Warlock and a Mantis combo where the Mantis is sucking people out, interdicting them, and then the Warlock, discharges EMP, and then, oh my God, the rest of the fleet jumps in and you're all dead in the water. I mean, it takes a lot of coordination to do that.
Yeah, especially because you have to keep that distance from the Warlock, so your ships don't, your assault ships are not getting getting hit by the EMP. I mean, but that's group play. That's, those kind of pirates scare me, but at the same time, I'm not mad because, well, antisocial types aren't very good at grouping together. So,
But it's good to be scared. Like, that's the whole point of the game. You need that element of being scared so that you can have a good time. You need the element of being scared so that you can plan out, whatever it is you're doing, because you got to worry about all this stuff. If you didn't have to worry, that's where the fun comes from. If you didn't have to worry about all that stuff, this would just be, would you rather do that or just mash an easy button all day for an hour and a half and then, okay, I'm done? It
I
doesn't
agree
seem right to
completely.
me.
I completely agree. This is the right way to look at it.